Hey, so, in the odd event you're an avid follower of this show, you might have noticed a bit of schedule slippage, but I still have a few deadlines and upcoming events that I have to work around, mostly pertaining to other games. If Rock Band 4 wasn't out and I wasn't waiting on my instruments, you would have likely seen a review for Danganronpa by now. And I just bought Undertale at everyone's behest, I just started a co-op run of Borderlands 2, the new Guitar Hero is around the corner, there's Halo 5, Fallout 4, I need to play the Phantom Pain, I just recently played Until Dawn and I'd review that if I ever replayed it, so I actually have a long list of videos to potentially make, and a much shorter list of places I can get consistent feedback on them, but you know, I ain't bitter. And in fact my playthrough of Sunset Overdrive is something like 3 weeks old, but I think I have enough material to make a funny and interesting video out of it. Perhaps it'll even be funnier than the game, because yeah, this is one of those wacky games that relies on referential humour and fourth wall breakage without making any actual commentary. Like, this is one of the earliest jokes of the game.
You can get some pretty awesome shit. I call them amps, and trust me, you're going to love them.
Your street name isn't Heisenberg, is it?
Ha, do you get it? Because Breaking Bad is a thing that exists? Ha. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sunset Overdrive takes place in Sunset City, which I assume is just across from Paradise City. And after this new energy drink called Overcharge is unveiled, everyone in the city starts turning into these mindless mutants driven only by a lust for carnage. A citywide pandemic being a metaphor for the mindless societal lust of consumerism. I feel like I've seen this before. And of course your goal is to get out of the city by any means necessary. And it just so happens that the manic atmosphere seems to randomly bless our lead character with superpowers, because as soon as shit hits the fan, they're jumping around 12 feet and grinding everything in sight without a second thought. Grinding is really a lot of fun. It's a neat traversal gimmick, and it won't be long before you're looking at the city entirely for things to grind, and getting grind combos never gets old, which is good because you have to do quite a bit of backtracking. Bouncing is another matter. It always felt a bit too loose, and what you can and cannot bounce off of doesn't make sense, even in this game's nonsensical atmosphere. Matter of fact, I'm not sure I could really ever get down with this game's core direction. Oh sure, bouncing and grinding around the city, tricking off everything is slick as hell, but Sunset Overdrive really tries to emphasize this through the combo system. It locks customizable passive abilities behind different thresholds of this combo meter, but getting to the higher thresholds is so damn hard. I never got to level 4 on my own, and because their use is so situational, I never bothered to implement the amps into my strategies. Beyond that, pulling off so many different moves to get to those higher levels isn't really rewarding enough in itself either. It's not really all that graceful to have to grind, undergrind, bounce, zipline, ground pound, wall run, and shoot while doing all of these. So I ended up using the same tactics at the end of the game as I had used at the beginning, which is just kind of sad. Plus, as much as I am an advocate for that open world, allowing for much more user-driven ludic possibilities, I'm beginning to see a lot of very restricted patterns between each of these games. In particular, Sunset Overdrive reminds me a lot of Saints Row, particularly the last two, in that it starts off very interesting and exploration of this open city remains a treat, but by the end, actual inspiration is steadily swapped out for just going back and forth through the city, and it all leads up to a rather uninteresting climax despite the supposed scale. The tasks you have to do get very mundane very quickly, and the game never really recovers from how much busy work you have to do. Hey, help these spoiled college kids out and you might get a part for the plane to get you out of the city, or maybe that plane will just run into an invisible wall when you finally get to use it, sending you back to square one. Spare me my life from this monstrosity. There is no adequate sense of progression, you just bounce around from set piece to set piece in each area until the game decides to let you see the next batch of merry men you will eventually befriend. Sunset Overdrive, for all its style, feels very systematic, and I see this problem a lot with these open world games with segmented mission branches. The variety of enemies and weapons, as well as the set pieces themselves, keep the game from being a complete wash. I mean, I did sit down and beat it in basically 2 goes, but it doesn't compare to the tightness of GTA or the variety of Saints Row. I guess the game is still worth getting now it's dirt cheap, but I think if I had picked this up at launch I would have been very disappointed. Alright, that concludes the substance part of the video. Now for the style. Comedy in video games seems pretty hard to get right. If you just write witty one-liners ignoring the interactive value that could be brought to the table, then it has a good chance of coming off as very distant and cold. But if you take the riskier option of highlighting the ridiculousness of the gaminess of the world, you open yourself up to a lot of blowback. There are a number of games that make the commentary of certain levels of quests being annoying while making you play them.
Great, an in-game tutorial. God, I hate these things.
Yeah, sorry, Matt Hazard. There's a difference between ironic self-realization and actually lampooning something. So, what approach do the deft at hand Insomniac Studios employ?
Let's not complicate things by poking holes in the way we deliver the story, okay?
Oh, okay then. I'm gonna go back to the base and be magically gone by the time you have control.
Fine by me. That's not weird at all.
You know, I could point out how maybe I'm wasting my viewers' time by rambling on about pointless things, but it wouldn't make it funny, it'd just waste even more time. See, Saints Row wins hands down in this category too. Sunset Overdrive is so wrapped up in its own little world that any attempts to step outside feel rather alien, or at the very least disconnected from the player, and most attempts to feel relevant are just painful. But there are a few nice instances of meta humor that work, like this one.
How'd you think you were gonna do that when I got this here gun?
Yeah, I got guns too.
That is the actual weapon selection you have on you at that point, and that's kind of clever. There's also this one. If you get that, congrats, we should hang out sometime. And I thought Saints Row 3 had the best left field cameo appearance in a game, but this one, oof, did not see this guy coming. Ultimately, I'd concede we do need more games like this with the underlying happy message of expression is cool, but the way Sunset OD offers that is kind of odd. Like one of the earlier radio messages you get is how in a fair and just world no one would judge you on anything but your actions. And I was just thinking, did this only trigger because I was cross-dressing the entire game? The humour relies on too many tropes for my liking, but I'd still say enough of the jokes landed, especially the joke where the game glitched up and didn't play the audio during the second last cutscene. Now that was funny. Open world games and glitches. Now there's a trope Sunset Overdrive should have made fun of. Man, this game was just full of missed opportunities. Worth a playthrough, but no more. Oh, and the soundtrack's great. Gotta mention that. Well, that was a decent curio, but I promise I will be a lot more timely with my next two reviews, and I'm sure they'll be better written too. In fact, they are going to rock.